Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Sharna Southan. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls. So in 2020, I did a pregnancy loss healing summit and I interviewed a panel of guest experts in different ways that you can navigate your healing after pregnancy loss. Just wanted to give you a little heads up. The audio may not be the greatest, but I thoroughly enjoyed interviewing these experts and I hope you find value in what they have to share as well. Much love and let's dive in. Welcome, beautiful souls, to another day. Today, I have the beautiful Elle with me. She is a self-love coach and author and founder of the Self-Healing Spiral, a method to heal and love yourself. So a warm welcome to you, Elle. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure, Sharna. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving the opportunity to share my work with you and with everyone that's listening.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't pass up this opportunity because I have been working with you as a client and also you're teaching me the self-healing spiral. It is just so valuable for women to be aware of how they can, take control and just be able to love themselves and heal themselves. So did you want to give us a little bit of a background of sort of, how, like who you are and sort of how you came to do what you do?
Of course. So I'm originally from Belgium, so you can put me on a map somewhere. But I actually live in Canada, in Vancouver. And before living in Canada, my whole life collapsed. And I went through a difficult period, but that actually allowed me to rebuild my whole life and for the best. So what happened is that I got married about 3 years ago. And I was in a moment in my life where I was about to turn 30. I had an amazing job in a bank. I mean, amazing on paper. It was amazing. I was going to get married. I had just bought a 3-bedroom flat. I had ticked all the boxes, but I felt empty. Something was wrong. I was not okay. I needed more of something, but didn't really know what that something was. So I got married in September and then decided to go to India for a yoga teacher training a few months later in February. And I thought that being away for 1 month in India, spending time with myself, meditating, doing some yoga, would probably bring me answers and start opening doors for me. And it did. It brought me a lot of clarity about who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing on this beautiful earth. But what happened is that the day when I came back from India, my husband left me. So that was 6 months after we got married. And I did not see it coming. So it was really a shock, a trauma for me. It was a lot of, an explosion of emotions, anger, frustration, sadness, guilt, shame, name it. They were all there at the same time. And I didn't really know how to deal with them. I just felt like there was a huge building who just collapsed on me. And I was under the debris and I just had to figure out a way of getting out and building that thing again. So I started looking for tools to heal and to get better, but I was doing what a lot of people do, or what a lot of people had taught me, was to just keep living, keep being busy. And so I went back to work after taking some time off. I gave back to giving my piano classes. I then gave yoga classes, and I was super busy going out every single evening to, go on with my life. But it didn't really work like that. Pretending I was happy and smiled wasn't really going to make me happy and healed. And so a few months later in June, I had a huge panic attack. You know, these panic attacks where your heart is beating really fast and you can't breathe and your hands are sweaty and you feel like you're going to die. It was really scary. And I thought, okay, this is really my body telling me you cannot keep going. This is not how you're going to get your life back together. This is not how you're going to heal. And I decided to look for the tools and the right knowledge about the body, the mind, the emotions, the soul, everything. I really wanted to be able to understand myself from a whole, like 360-degree perspective, you know, like a real holistic perspective as well. And because I wanted to be able to always be doing the right thing for myself instead of just running away from my emotions. I wanted to be able to really welcome them and do the right thing to heal myself. And then I realized that healing, whether it is from pregnancy loss, from a divorce, from a burnout, from a depression, from doing a coming out that's been really difficult, you know, whatever it is that you're going through, healing, it's not a linear process. It's not every day it goes better and then one day it's finished and you're happy again. It's a cyclical process because we go through certain emotions and certain feelings. We go through them several times to heal them at a deeper layer every time.
Yeah.
And so I asked myself, if it's a cycle and we go to one place over and over again, what are the different steps in that cycle? And so a few months later, I remember really well, I woke up and I thought, it's a self-healing spiral. Suddenly all the dots connected. I remember I was in my pajama. I jumped out of bed. I went on my laptop. I started drawing the circle with the steps. I was like, this is it. I understand how healing works now. And I applied the method to myself because I created it for myself first. And then I really quickly started feeling much, 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 much better. In a few weeks, I would say 4 to 8 weeks, I completely shifted. My energy came back, my self-esteem came back, my self-love. I started really seeing that huge light at the end of the tunnel. And then I thought, I cannot keep this for myself. I have to share it. I have to teach it. There are so many women and men suffering out there. I need to help them. You know, what I went through at least can serve someone else, then I will have done my job. And so I wrote a book, started a coaching movement. And yeah, now I've decided to start sharing this method through a coaching training, through a certification that's been approved by the ICF. So now I'm teaching the method to coaches so that they in turn can help other women heal and love themselves.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I was drawn to you. That's why there was just something about you. And I honestly thought that I had dealt with everything. I'm like, yeah, I knew I needed to sort of implement self-love, but I'm just like, yeah, I've dealt with my emotions, what I thought I had dealt with my emotions. And then working through the self-healing spiral with you, I just realized there was so much. And you said it's layers. Like you sort of work through something and it's like an ongoing thing, but it was then just bringing up another layer for me to work through. So even when we think we've sort of processed it and dealt with it, there's another layer. There is the deeper layer. There's something else. And there will be always sort of moments in your life that will bring.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
There's always more. There's always something. And then life can trigger us. There are also things happening in our lives that bring us back down the spiral. That's why it's a spiral. It's because you can go back up. Once you know how this method works, you can bring yourself back up. And then, okay, some days you might be back down, but you're empowered with the method to heal yourself or to help others heal if you use it as a coach or a healer or a therapist.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful part. Like it's something that you can actually, because like you said, there are going to be days that will trigger you and there'll be something someone says or something that you see or just in a moment where you're just feeling really flat, and there are days that you will go back down, and that's just going to be part of the process. But then you're empowered and now you would have the tools to be able to bring yourself back up. did you want to maybe share something that the women could sort of implement for themselves after their pregnancy loss?
Yes, of course, my pleasure. So when we are going through a trauma, there's a lot to deal with. And what I realized and what was really a huge shift for me is when I had the realization that I'm not going to stay in that pain forever.
Mm.
And realizing that really made a big difference because sometimes, usually, often, most of the time, we actually don't allow ourselves to feel the pain because we don't want to stay in the pain. And we think that by feeling sadness, feeling the despair, feeling the guilt, we're going to stay stuck in that emotion. Actually, it's the opposite. When you allow yourself to feel the emotion, you're actually releasing it.
Mm.
Because an emotion, it's like a host that's coming to knock at your door and that says, hey, I have a message from you. I come from deep down here, your solar plexus or even below, and I have something to tell you so that it comes up to your mind. So I'm coming all the way up and then we feel our throat, that's getting tense because it's knocking on the door. It wants to come outside. We say, no, I don't want to listen to you. Like, I know your message is not really fun. So just go back from where you came from. And then we send it back. We suppress it. Mm-hmm. But if we open the door to the emotion, if we allow ourselves to feel it, if we allow ourselves to cry or to scream in a pillow because it feels good, we're actually then allowing the emotion to fully express itself. We're inviting it in. And every single emotion has a message to deliver us. Every single emotion is just saying something about what you need deep down or releasing something that doesn't serve you. Mm. Sadness, for example, is really the body's way of trying to heal. It's the body's way of letting go of something that doesn't serve you, of disappointment, of expectations. And it's really there to heal. So like I told you, and like I'm always telling all my clients, never hold your tears because they're your best friends. They're there to heal you. And if we could all allow ourselves to cry, if we could allow all our men to cry as well, I believe that the world would be really a better place. Because then these emotions wouldn't stay inside of us. Because when an emotion is not welcomed, it creates anxiety, creates panic attacks, it creates digestive issues, and it actually creates a lot of stress. Because when an emotion comes up, it's actually going to stimulate our sympathetic nervous system. The word emotion comes from the Latin e movere, which means to put you into movement. The emotion is there to deliver a message so that you can do something about it. Fear, which is an emotion too, is there to make you run away from the lion that's trying to eat you. So it's there to save you, to put you into action. Sadness, they are all there to put you in a kind of action. And so because you need to run away, the emotion is going to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system of putting a lot of blood into your muscles so that you can run away, making sure that your heart is going to beat faster, your hands are going to sweat. So basically, the sympathetic nervous system is going to create that stress into your body and is going to send the blood to certain organs of your body, but shut down the other organs. And so when you're really emotional and into stress, your body is actually shutting down your digestive system and your reproductive system. So when we say to people, you're struggling to create a family because you're too stressed, it's not only psychological, it's really physical because that stress, that worry, that anxiety is shutting down your organs because your body is in survival mode, basically. So by welcoming the emotion, it's uncomfortable. Yes, for sure. But we really need to allow ourselves to feel it, observe how it's moving in our body, validate that emotion that we're feeling. So sad, and it's completely normal that I'm sad after I went through. It's really important to validate what we're experiencing because that allows us to release the emotion and to then move into the parasympathetic nervous system by breathing, by going back into relaxation with going for a walk or meditating. And having that knowledge that I just shared with you can really make a huge, huge difference, because it's making you realize that your emotions are actually your best friends. Even if they're painful, they're there to serve you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, they are painful. You don't want to, like, if you feel that sadness or something within you that comes up and you're like, no, I don't want to cry right now, or I don't want to feel that right now. And I think also society kind of makes you feel like you have to suppress what you're feeling to function, because people don't want to see you emotional or showing any emotion. But like you said, if you're constantly living in that state, if you're constantly suppressing your emotion, you're not allowing yourself to actually move and heal. Yeah, move out of that sympathetic nervous system and heal, because you're just pushing everything back inside and kind of living stuck, I guess.
You live in survival mode, and you live in stuck, and you're just delaying the process, because it's going to have to come out at some point. There is not going to be another way for the emotion to come out unless it comes out through a sickness.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have to come out at some point. And we are now really on the scientific level realizing more and more that emotions are stuck in the body and can create illnesses. So you might as well just be comfortable for 5 minutes every day and cry and then feel better and really heal yourself.
Yeah.
Rather than making yourself sick. It's painful for sure, but like I said, and that's really what I'm inviting all my clients to do. And I'm still crying really regularly, even if I'm really happy and I got remarried and I'm super happy in my business as well, and I love what I do. I'm still triggered by life and by my past traumas and fear it has created and limiting beliefs it has created. So I still welcome my emotions really regularly by really allowing myself to go deep down there. And sometimes, it's just by doing a meditation, and I have my thoughts that go in every direction, and I realize that there's something in there that's trying to come out that I hadn't paid attention to. So by slowing down, we can connect with what's happening inside.
Yeah.
And we can then welcome the emotion by really allowing ourselves to feel it. Like I said, we connect with the moment, we feel it. We observe how it feels in our body, the heat it creates, the tension it creates. And then we really validate what we're experiencing. Yes, I'm sad. Or yes, I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose another baby, or that I'm going to lose the baby I have right now. And it's completely normal that I have this fear. It's completely normal, because fear is actually only trying to keep us safe. It's trying to make us run away from the lion, because it already has experienced the lion, the pain of losing a baby. So it doesn't want it to happen again, because it's really an intense thing. So it's completely normal that fear shows up, but we need to feel the fear and acknowledge it, and then it's going away.
One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a loss mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives.
I think I went through I lost my baby 3 years ago, and I felt like I had done all of my crying back then, and I thought I was coping quite well until I started really looking inside of me again and starting to acknowledge, because there were things that were happening that I knew that, wasn't quite right, that, I don't know, I guess I was just sort of passing it off, and then starting to work with you again. I don't think I cried so much, but in a very long time. But it was incredible, like that release, and everything sort of just started to make sense. Like, oh my gosh, that's why this has been happening, because I've been holding on to that fear, or, like I did have a fear going into trying for another pregnancy, because it is such, it takes the shine off it a little bit. So you do have that fear, but to acknowledge it and know where it's coming from. And like you said before, you're validating it. You're not ignoring it. You're allowing it to come out and say, it's okay. Like, I understand why you're here.
Absolutely. And, we can talk about fear for ages. It's really a fascinating topic for me. But there's a coach, a friend of mine, that always says, fear is like the monster hiding under the bed. When you're a kid and you can't sleep because you're afraid there's a monster under the bed. For me, I was always afraid that there would be an extraterrestrial, because I had watched the movie E.T. and I was super afraid of E.T. and I always thought that E.T. would come with his head in my room. So that was my fear. You reproject it on certain things.
Yeah.
Fear is like the monster under the bed, or the E.T. coming through the door. Once you turn on the lights and you go and have a look under the bed, you see there's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
So once you express the fear, once you dare to face it, to feel it, you realize it's gone. And, my trauma was around getting married and saying yes to a man I deeply loved, and thinking that I would then be safe forever. But then experiencing a divorce 6 months after we got married, and it happened out of the blue, it really created for me a belief, of course, that marriage equals pain. If I say yes to someone, I'm going to have my heart broken again. And so for me, it was really challenging to get involved into a new relationship, because the closer we were getting, the more dangerous it felt for me, because that's what I had experienced. So the more I was scared. And every single time we were really taking a step forward, meeting his parents, living together for 1 month when he came to visit me in Montreal, and then talking about moving in together, and then actually moving in together, and then talking about getting married. Every single step created a huge amount of fear, because my ego, my little soldier, like I call it, really wanted to keep me safe. And he's the one creating all these emotions. He's that part inside of us that's saying, uh-oh, there's something wrong. You're not safe here, danger. And I really had to welcome them. Even if I'm really healed, there's still a little bit. And I know that it will probably always be there, because I experienced that trauma. And our ego only wants to keep us safe. That's why he's sending all these messages, all this fear, all this sadness. And so So yeah, I'm still using it for myself as well. And that's the beauty of this tool and of this knowledge, is that it's a never ending process. But once we welcome the fear, we can then look at it and not let it control us, because we are already safe.
Yeah.
And the relationship I have now has nothing to do with the relationship I had before. And I also know that I'm not alone. There are invisible forces around me. You can call it the universe, guides, angels, whatever, that are supporting me and that are helping me have my best life. And that divorce was actually necessary. I didn't see it at the time, but it would never have worked. And I had actually married this man out of a lot of fear, but I wasn't conscious about it at the time. So, like when we're emotional, we're not connected to all these rational things.
Yeah.
But once we've welcomed the emotion, we can reconnect with our more rational mind, take a step back and install new beliefs. So for every woman that's listening and that has struggled with pregnancy loss or any kind of trauma, welcome your fear, welcome your emotion, and then focus on the facts that are proving you that this time might be completely different.
Yeah.
And then if you're spiritual, well, ask your guides, ask your angels for support. Try to connect with your baby in the spiritual realm, because sometimes they just need to be reassured, and that's why they're going back. And it's really painful and we feel guilty. But I've read an amazing book about that, and it really gives a lot of beautiful insights about why babies just go back to the spiritual realm and sometimes don't stay until the birth.
Yeah. That just gave me goosebumps. But yeah, absolutely. Just, like you said, allowing yourself to feel what it is that you're feeling, but then sort of validating it and then telling yourself the facts, because not every pregnancy is the same. There is no guarantee that you will experience it again. So, just and acknowledging, why it's there, because you have experienced it before, but trying to then sort of reshift your focus.
I feel like pregnancy is also really teaching us surrender, because in our society, we learn to control so much.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can control in a pregnancy.
No,
It's out of your
absolutely.
hands.
Yeah.
When the sperm and the egg are going to meet, we don't know if it's going to work, if it's going to stay, if it's going to be a boy or a girl. We have no control. And so, of course, it's easy for me to say that because I haven't experienced pregnancy loss, but I feel like it's really an opportunity for us to go and find that faith inside and really learn to surrender and really learn to believe that everything that happens to us is for our own good. And that's really something that I kept repeating myself when I was in that fear of taking a step forward with Rich to move in together or to get married. Sometimes it was days of crying nonstop because I was so afraid. And once I was finished with crying, I kept repeating myself, I know that everything happens to me for my own good. And I feel like this affirmation could also help with pregnancy loss, because there's so little we can control, but we can connect with the fact that the universe has our back. And really, there are invisible forces that are conspiring for our own good and that want us to be happy and to succeed.
Absolutely. So moving forward, like, what would you like to share with the women that are listening in today? Like, what would you like to offer them coming out of this video?
So I'm inviting you to connect with your emotion first. Do that for yourself. If you want to learn more about my work, then there's a book that I've published that's called The Self-Healing Spiral. That's on Amazon. But you can also sign up for my certification so that you can learn to master this method for yourself and then be able to serve yourself first. Because that's why I created it. It's to heal ourselves, become our own coaches, really, and then serve our family, serve our clients. Because once we're aware of this method and how healing works and all the knowledge that's linked to it, we can really, transmit it to our children, and they are the leaders of tomorrow. So I believe it's so important to do that work as well. But we can also use that method as a therapist, as a healer, as a coach, and serve clients. I've helped a lot of women with this method to get over burnouts, depression, so a lot of difficult things that a lot of women go through.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of like a pregnancy loss affects it's not just that experience. It affects so many different areas of your life, and essentially that's why I thought I knew I needed to work on my self-love, but then I got so much more than what I bargained for going through your program. So much more value, because I was learning to love myself by learning to really listen to what I needed and welcoming the emotions that I had been, which I didn't realize I was pushing aside. And yeah, that's just, and it sort of manifests in different areas of your life. And you think it may not be connected, but it is.
Yeah, because once you start doing the inner work of healing and loving yourself, because this method is really healing through self-love, whether it's giving yourself attention, kindness, or working on your beliefs. And there's also work on self-love itself in the method. Once you start doing all that inner work, inevitably your outer reality is going to change as well. So it's going to impact your work, your relationships, your finances, your friendships. It impacts everything. Because our reality is just a reflection of what's happening inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really just, turning our attention back to ourselves, because after loss, you feel like you lose control of your whole entire world. And the one thing that we can control is ourselves. Yeah. So, and then it's just turning that focus back onto us and really just looking inside and understanding what it is that we truly need and truly need to heal, so that our, like you said, the external environment starts to change. And also going into then, if they want to have another family and go into another pregnancy, they are in a much better place mentally and physically to go into that. Because if they haven't welcomed their emotion, if they haven't acknowledged what's happened, then the fear, it will just be like they'll just have a vice grip over them. Every little thing that would happen, and like you said, pregnancy you can't control. Like it's the one thing that's sort of all happening inside of you, and you can't go in and physically touch anything to fix anything. So to know that you're in the best place you can mentally and physically moving forward, I think is just one of the most powerful things, because it's us. We can control us.
Absolutely. Wise words.
Thank you. And yeah, your self-healing spiral, like it's so simple, and so that like you can implement it and it just makes sense. Like it won't be comfortable, but the steps make so much sense, like when you're actually starting to work through the spiral. And like you said, it's something that you can take into your life forever, because it's going to be an ongoing process.
And it's its simplicity that makes it so powerful and transformative.
Yeah, you can implement it wherever you are, and no one on the outside is going to know what you're actually doing, but you're internally being you can process what's happening to you in that moment that you have that trigger or something happen. And yeah, like you said, the simplicity is what makes it so powerful, and it does, because you can just be anywhere and do that healing work on yourself.
Yes. And sometimes it still makes me doubt myself too, of maybe it's too simple, but actually no, it's a simplicity. I mean, there are still 6 steps and there's a lot to go through, but once you understand how it functions, it's actually really simple, and it's that simplicity that makes it actually so powerful.
Yeah, it's not, like you said, there's steps to it, but it all just sort of flows. It doesn't, there's no like, oh, I have to do this, oh, I have to do that. Like it kind of just leads itself into the next step. So It's also amazing. I just really thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge on that today.
Thank you, Sharna. It was my pleasure.
If they wanted to reach out to you and find you on social media, where can they find you?
On my website, eledeposson.com. Maybe you can add it to the email that you're going to send out with this video.
Yeah.
I also have an Instagram account and a private Facebook group where I regularly do lives and videos and masterclass.
Thank you so much. Like I said, it's just something I couldn't pass up. I needed the women to know that you were here, and this beautiful thing that you've created, the beautiful framework you've created, is available, and they can do it wherever they need to. But yeah, I'll put all of your information with the video, and hopefully it might tie into when you've got your live in your group so that they can have a look, they can jump in and have a look. But yeah, thank you again so much for your time, Elle.
Thank you. Lots of kisses. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.